everyone, thanks for watching this video. My name is Cambria Rapp. I'm making this video as a part of my Girl Scout Gold Award project. For those of you who don't know, a Gold Award in Girl Scouts is pretty much the equivalent of an Eagle project in Boy Scouts. I decided that I wanted the focus of my project to be on bees. My goal is to raise awareness about the importance of bees in the daily lives of humans and also about the decline of a specific kind of bee, the honeybee. I decided on this topic for my project because many people seem to be unaware about the importance and decline of honeybees, even though everyone's affected. So far, my project has consisted of constructing and planting a garden at the local YMCA. This garden contains plants that are attractive to and nutritious for bees. All of the plants that I chose are perennials, meaning they'll come back year after year. These pictures show the garden 1 year after it was planted. I've also built 2 bee houses which will be donated to the gardens at the YMCA. These houses specifically attract a kind of bee called a mason bee, which I'll talk about later. For the past couple of years, I've been finding articles in the papers about the decline of honeybees. They pretty much sum up the issue, so they're mostly what I'll be referring to and quoting. Let's take a look. These 2 articles discuss colony collapse disorder, or CCD, and its effects. According to the EPA, as many as 50% of all affected bee colonies demonstrated symptoms of CCD. First reported in 2006, CCD manifests as a colony with a live queen, honey, and immature bees, but no adult bees, dead or alive. This is problematic because worker bees are the bees that collect food for the hive, and in doing so, pollinate crops and flowers. Without worker bees, there isn't much pollination occurring by bees. In the US, managed honeybee colonies have decreased from 5 million in the 1940s to 2.5 million today. As of yet, there is no known definite cause of CCD. But the decline of honeybees has been blamed on a variety of factors, including neonicotinoids, aka neonics, a type of insecticide used by Monsanto and other seed producers, and the varroa mite, a parasite that may contribute to colony collapse disorder. In addition, bees have lost considerable amounts of foraging area due to things like herbicides. But at the forefront of this debate are neonics. Some recent studies suggest neonics are highly toxic to bees. A study done by Purdue University found that dead bees that had foraged in and around cornfields contained high levels of neonicotinoid compounds. The study was prompted by massive bee die-offs that happened in the spring, when corn planters were spewing neonicotinoid-containing dust. To be clear, there isn't a direct link between neonics and CCD. It is a controversial subject, and not all studies agree with one another. But neonics could be seen as a stressor that make bees weaker and therefore exacerbates CCD. Furthermore, the Purdue study's lead author, Christian Krupke, has done side-by-side field trials to determine whether seed treatments of neonics actually boost yields by 6 to 12 bushels an acre, as the industry claims. According to Krupke, there is no difference found in yield or root damage. Of course, this doesn't mean that neonics never work, but there's enough evidence and research to suggest that neonic use can be cut down. Back in 2013, the European Union even initiated a 2-year plan that restricted the use of 3 pesticides belonging to the neonic family. Honeybees aren't the only ones hurting. According to this article, bumblebees are contracting deadly diseases from commercialized honeybees and appear to be in significant decline across Europe, North America, South America, and Asia. Mark Brown at the University of London conducted a study that suggested that a major source of the decline was the spillover of parasites, pathogens, and disease from managed honeybee hives. This is clearly a problem because bumblebees provide a significant chunk of the world's pollination of flowers and food, especially greenhouse tomatoes. To really understand the impact that bees have on humans, let's take a look at this picture of a picnic. On one side, we have a picnic with bees, on the other, without bees. And without bees, there's no onions, peppers, or tomatoes for your kebab, no lemons for your lemonade, and no PB&J for your bread. No guacamole, salsa, or watermelon, and your pasta salad becomes only pasta. A Greek salad is reduced to just cheese, and a fruit salad loses everything but bananas and pineapples. From this picnic, it's clear to see that bees are critical for our crops. 1/3 of all of our food benefits from bee pollination. Moreover, if you think bees are only good for pollinating, think again. According to this article, nanoparticles carrying a toxin found in bee venom can destroy human immunodeficiency virus while leaving surrounding cells unharmed. This finding is an important step toward developing a gel that may prevent the spread of HIV, which causes AIDS. This is just another example of how important a role bees play in the lives of humans. I also had the chance to talk to a new beekeeper that I met through my local YMCA. She's really passionate about bees and was happy to answer any questions that I had. Here's what she had to say.
And I'm Chrissy Hayes McConnell, and I'm a garden manager at the Wild West Community Garden at the Wildwood YMCA. And I'm a master gardener, and I have home gardens, and I'm a volunteer with Gateway Greening at their City Seeds Urban Farm, and I'm a first-year beekeeper. There are a lot of new beekeepers out there trying to learn beekeeping. So it's been a rough go the last year. A lot of keepers lost up to 40% of their bees. And being a first year beekeeper, I'm considered a newbie. And until you go through your first winter and have them survive that first winter, then you're kind of a beekeeper after that first amount of time. But there's a lot to learn, but there's a lot that you get back. So I decided to start keeping bees. It just seemed like a natural progression. I'm an avid gardener, nature enthusiast, and an animal lover. So it also seems like a very important step for our troubled environment. Our bees are in trouble, and I'm just providing appropriate housing and a nurturing environment to help them pollinate. I think advantages to keeping bees, they assist in pollinating my own garden, but also surrounding gardens and trees. And I can eat my own honey. I know what's going in there. I think some misconceptions about bees as honeybees is that they don't plan when they're leaving the hive to go out and sting the first human that walks in their path. Their goal is to go out and work and bring back the pollen, the nectar, to their hive. If they're threatened in any way, like swatted at, or if their hive is disturbed, they will protect it till their death. And only 1% of the population is actually reactive to bees, and of course it's a very serious anaphylactic reaction. So the number of people that are really that allergic is low, but it is a very serious thing. And I think people are scared of what they don't understand, and so the first thing that raises a concern with people is getting stung.
Hopefully after hearing about the plight of the bees, you're concerned and wondering what you can do to help. And if you're willing, here's some simple things you can do that make a big difference. If you've got wildflowers in your yard, leave them. Honeybees love wild plants like clover. My mom left these wildflowers in her garden, and they're literally crawling with bumblebees and mason bees. Mind you, I ended up taking about 100 different close-up pictures of these bees, and I wasn't stung once. The bees weren't interested in me at all. They only cared about the flowers. It goes to show that if you're kind to the bees, they'll be kind right back. Speaking of kindness, it's preferable to not use pesticides at all. But if you think it can't be avoided, here's a short list of what common pesticides are relatively non-toxic to honeybees. These common pesticides, however, are highly toxic to bees and should not be used under any circumstance. If you are going to use pesticides, even the ones that are deemed safe, please pay heed to these tips. Don't spray anything that's in full bloom. Bees aren't attracted to plants that are budded or are at the point where their blossoms have dropped their petals. Spray in the very early morning or right before dark so that bees are already safely home and the pesticide can dry before bees come into contact with it. Don't dump out your leftover pesticide in a way that leaves a puddle that bees might drink from. Use less toxic formulations. Dusts are more hazardous to bees than liquids. Avoid micro-encapsulated formulas. These tiny capsules are the same size as pollen spheres, so are carried back to the colony and shared. Another way you can help out the bees is to provide them with housing. Most people aren't looking to be beekeepers, so if you don't want to keep honeybees, try mason bees. Mason bees are great pollinators. Actually, they're even more efficient than honeybees. And with the decline of honeybees, mason bees are increasingly being looked toward to help with the pollination problem. Mason bees are tiny, and only the females have stingers. They seldom sting, and even then, it's more like a mosquito bite than a bee sting. Here's an example of a mason bee house that I built. They're pretty simple to build, and you can find dozens of tutorials online. If you don't want to make one, you can always buy one. There's some pretty cheap ones out there. One last way you can help the bees is to plant native flowers that bees like. This list of bee-friendly plants goes on, but I'll just give a few examples. In my bee-friendly garden at the YMCA, we planted phlox, catmint, liatris, rose verbena, lavender, bee balm, sedum, hyssopus, penstemon, and coneflowers. To sum up, bees play an important role as pollinators for the crops that humans eat and are responsible for over 20 billion worth of US crops each year. But bees are in decline and need our help, so please do what you can to help them. I hope you've been able to learn something from my video. Thanks for watching.